and welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff, and if you have a question, feel free to leave them on down below, or go on over to my Ask FM account thing, and we will get you squared away at some point, I'm sure. First question! Any new guitar days on the horizon? Dunnables seem very attractive. Thank you, Nick Topping, for your question. I actually had a new guitar day, but I didn't really talk about it much. I think on my Instagram, I actually just got this Paul Reed Smith 594, McCarty 594, which is really awesome. A buddy of mine, a very, very good friend of mine, has had it for years, and I always said, man, if you don't ever want that, you call me. And he called me. The trade was made, and I got this beautiful, beautiful guitar. I've always wanted a single cut Paul Reed Smith, and I have never seen one like this with the black pickup surrounds. I've seen others like this with white surrounds. I've never seen another one with the black surround. He got it brand new. I love that it's not finished. It's not painted on the sides and back. I love that about this guitar. Also, I hated the 5815 LT bridge pickup. Sorry, PRS owners. I hated that pickup. There's no low end. No low end. It was so vintage sounding. I just couldn't do it. I actually found some 8515s on Facebook. I went to go and put in the bridge pickup, and I couldn't figure out the wiring. And in doing so, I cut the wires too short, having to start over and over again. And I made the wires too short, and I ruined the pickup. And I basically threw a Duncan Invader in it. I know PRS owners are gonna just give me so much crap for that, but the guitar sounds fantastic, and I have used it on some stuff. And yeah, this was the last new guitar day that I had. As far as future guitar days, I could see myself getting another Dunnable. I don't know, man. I have so many guitars, and I'm not humble bragging or anything like that. Like, physical room is a problem now. And yeah, oh no, I guess the last new guitar day, hang on one second. The last new guitar day I had was this guy. This is a one-off Ernie Ball Music Man Cutlass. It was built for someone for something, and it sat in the warehouse for quite a long time. And there's a bunch of dents in the body, and they couldn't sell it. And I really wanted a Stratty Music Man, and I said, hey, I'll take that beat up guy. I love the color. Oh yeah, someone rejected it because the neck was over roasted. Like, they over roasted the neck, and they didn't like how dark and chocolate it is, which I absolutely love. They're lost my gain, right? But yeah, this was, I guess, technically the last new guitar day I had. Guitars, they're so awesome. Hey Fluff, what's your thoughts on acclimation of guitars nowadays? Safe to play as soon as you get it, or allow X amount of time? Brendan, thank you so much for your question. That's a good question. I know this is a hotly debated subject, and the last time I saw it on the Paul Reed Smith group on Facebook, Dusty from Between the Buried and Me was like, oh, that's bull crap. But I think it just, there's no blanket statement. It depends on the climate where you live, and the climate where the guitar came from and it was finished in. An example being that my buddy, who actually, the same friend, Jason, who I got this from, got an insane custom-made private stock Paul Reed Smith made in Dragon Burst, and it's such an incredible guitar to play. It was a crazy amount of money, and he waited a year and a half for it, 2 years for it, and it was finished. They sent it to him. It was, I'm pretty sure it was in winter, and he did not let it acclimate, and he immediately got it, opened it up, and there was some light orange peeling on that finish. Very, very light that you could see in the light. That did go away. It did go away after the guitar acclimated, because it was warmer here, if I remember correctly. It was really, really cold in Maryland at that time. But I think acclimating should happen if you're in colder climates and it's, you know, sat in the truck. It's a brand new guitar, and I'm not talking about a guitar that was made 6 months ago and then got shipped to the Sweetwater warehouse and it sat. I'm talking about a guitar that was just painted 2 weeks ago or a week ago, put in the case and sent to you, like an actual legit brand new custom guitar. I would let that acclimate, me personally, and I do. I will let them sit in the house for a day or two. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I do let them sit sometimes, just depending. You know, if it's in the middle of summer and I get a guitar from the East Coast, I'm not letting that acclimate. You know, wintertime, yeah, I probably would. But generally speaking, that's not something I have to worry about just because of my location in Seattle. But a lot of people definitely should be worrying about that, especially the super, super high end. I don't know, man. There's a lot of factors to that stuff, you know, with the kind of finish the guitar is. I would just, generally speaking, ask the manufacturer or the place where you're purchasing the guitar, case by case basis. Let's do that. I'm torn between a Marshall or an orange cab. Which one sounds good for heavy distortion and crispy cleans? That just depends on what your needs are, man. A Marshall is a great cabinet. It's a classic. A Marshall with a V30, it's a pretty good combo. The orange, for me, is gonna have more low end because the Marshall, unless they're the handmade ones, a regular Marshall cab has all sorts of air leaks out the handles and out the back. And honestly, their construction isn't super, super great, although it is a classic sound. However, low end is created by air not escaping out the seams of the cabinet, right? So like when I've had a couple of 1960 cabs, and what I would do is I would take the handles off and I would put a bead of silicone sealer around the bolt holes and then put it back. More low end, go figure. The baffles are just, you know, kind of screwed in. They're not really sealed, as opposed to an orange or a Mesa Boogie cab. So if you're looking for the best cab for heavy distortion and crispy cleans, I would go orange personally. It's also thicker wood, much, much heavier, much better quality cabinet in my opinion. However, clearly there's nothing wrong with Marshalls because lots of people use them, but me personally, since you're asking me the question, I would go orange. Hey Fluff, do you have any insight on why amp companies such as Mesa and Peavey don't continue to produce the original versions of the amps that made their companies famous? For example, if the rectifier Rev F or the block letter 5150 is still highly sought after almost 30 years later, why not make them available while continuing to innovate on other products? You know what? That's a great question, Michael. I think that's the same reason why, you know, Chevy doesn't make 67 Camaros anymore, or you know, any technological company. That's why they don't make, you know, 57 Strats the exact way they used to. It's probably several factors: the cost of goods, the cost of parts, the design. You know, a company is also a company. They have a marketing department. They have to maintain sales in order to pay everyone to come to work every day. So making the same thing forever and just going, okay, cool, well, no more innovation, no more new things. They can't do that. Although, you know, the 5150 is an interesting argument because the 6505 is pretty close to a 5150. It's not the same, I'm not saying that, but more or less, Peavey had been making the 5150 continuously since 1992. Why they don't make the VTM or the old Butcher, I couldn't tell you. I wish they would, especially the VTM. I mean, that was just a hell of an amplifier. But, you know, with the rectifier, for example, the Rev F, Mesa are always looking forward. They're always looking to try to one-up themselves. Now, whether they do or not is always up for the debate, but they're always trying to better the product. And there was a lot of things wrong with the original rectifier. I have two of them right up here, but, you know, people love the old stuff. Now, Gibson is a good example of, you know, people love to hate them, but Gibson is a good example of coming back to what just people actually want, you know, and their product line is basically that of the 1960s with the addition of the Les Pauls. You know, they make 3 or 4 different kinds of Les Pauls. You know, before they changed owners, they made dozens of different Les Pauls, and they were all just kind of weird. No one asked for that. And, you know, the Firebird X and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, companies can go back to what they used to make and do small innovations and small changes and still give the people what they want. But yeah, they got people to pay. They got marketing departments to keep up and keep working and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason why they don't continue to make the old stuff like they do in that world. But Neumann still makes a U87, although that's changed internally. They still make a U87. So yeah, I don't know, man. It just depends on the company. But yeah, I wish a lot of those companies would still make the old stuff. Hey Fluff, what are your thoughts of Marshall DSL series? Thank you, Doug King, for your question. Marshall DSLs are cool. I want to get the early 2000s DSL, the JCM 2000, dual super lead. I've always wanted one of those amps. It's like I always think of, I mean, a lot of people use them. I always think of Sum 41 when I think of those amps, because Derek did an interview once and he talked about how much he loved his DSL, JCM 2000. I like all the DSLs. The TSL is good as well. I would lump the JVM in that category as well as the, you know, the newer Marshall group. But DSL, TSL, TSL 60, DSL, let's see, DSL 2000, JCM 2000, DSL 100, excuse me. All great amps. I should get one of these days. Hey Fluff, I'm not very familiar with using IRs. I have a more radar, which sounds okay, but I've only used it with headphones. Is it worth getting a studio monitor set up to be able to crank an amp with a load box and have a good tube amp sound at lower volumes with an IR? Can't find any good info on this scenario, mostly just info on how great it is for recording purposes. When it comes to IRs especially, you want the most resolution possible. You actually want to move some air in between you and your source. I would definitely recommend any kind of studio monitors over headphones for listening to amp tones. Just because, you know, you can get a bigger speaker, you can get just more frequency range, and you can actually get a more legit representation of how your setup is sounding with actual studio monitors versus headphones. Unless we're talking about like $1,500, like some crazy expensive headphones that are like audiophile quality and not $100 Sennheisers or something like that. I would absolutely try to get like a desktop situation where you can at least listen back to what you're playing. A little interface and with some monitors would be just fine for that situation. But yeah, definitely do that. Don't get rid of those headphones. And that does it for this episode of FAQ Monday. Thank you so much for joining me answering some questions. And with that, you've been Wonderful, I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, please consider subscribing. It helps me, help you, and then in turn you get more stuff to watch. And also, I have all sorts of stuff down in the description of this video. Sweetwater giveaway stuff. There's all sorts of links to all sorts of things. So consider checking that out as well if you're gonna hang. But if you don't hang, all good. I still love you.